A curious paradox. Past age 50, happiness rises when effort falls in the right places. Not everywhere, just in the places that quietly drain you. It's not giving up. It's letting go of what doesn't love you back. Tonight, we're exploring 8 things worth being lazier about as you grow older, and why that gentle refusal can make your days lighter, your mind clearer, and your relationships warmer. Stay to the end, because the final 2 are the ones most people never notice until they cost them years of peace. Before we begin, pause for a breath. Have you ever felt more content after you deliberately did less? Think about where that happened. A weekend with no plans, an argument you didn't enter, a message you answered tomorrow instead of now. Hold that memory. We'll build on it gently, step by step. Have you noticed how modern life expects immediate replies, instant availability, 24/7 responsiveness? Here's the first invitation to healthy laziness. Be slower at answering everything. Not absent, just unhurried. According to stress researchers at the American Psychological Association, constant connectivity and interruptions increase perceived stress and reduce your sense of control. The brain gets stuck in alert mode, burning attention like a candle at both ends. And when attention becomes scattershot, memory and mood wobble. Your time belongs to you. Consider a small, gracious delay. Let messages land. Let your thoughts arrive. You'll be surprised how often urgency evaporates on its own. Permission is powerful. Give it to yourself. The real-world impact is tangible. When you don't reply immediately, you're signaling to your nervous system that you are safe and steady, not perpetually on call. Work issues arrive. They can also wait. Friend questions ping. They can also rest. A simple boundary, like checking messages 2 or 3 times a day, turns anxiety into cadence. You regain a sense of I choose, not I chase. And when you do respond, you bring clarity rather than scattered fragments. The practical takeaway is simple and humane. Set response windows and stick to them. Mornings after coffee, mid-afternoon, and evening if necessary. Turn off non-essential push notifications. The Mayo Clinic has long noted that chronic stress shapes sleep and cardiovascular health. So every micro-stressor you cut matters across months and years. You're not rejecting people, you're protecting presence. 2 facts, 1 decision. Liberating. There's a small story to anchor this. A retired teacher in her late 60s told me she used to sleep with the phone next to her, waking to every buzz from her adult children's group chat. She finally set a night rule. Phone on silent across the room, morning check-in at 8. I became a better mother, she said, when I was no longer an emergency operator. Not slower in love, just slower in reaction. Now, a different but related kind of effort has its cost. Multitasking. If you've spent decades balancing work, caregiving, and life admin, doing 3 things at once may feel heroic. But research from Stanford has suggested that heavy multitasking impairs performance, memory, and the filtering of irrelevant information. That effect doesn't improve with practice. The brain's switching cost remains, and attention leaks. So here's the second invitation. Be lazier at multitasking. Get lazier at juggling. Become ruthlessly single-tasked. In your 50s, 60s, and beyond, focused attention is a quiet superpower. The real-life implication is not abstract. Making dinner while checking emails while listening to the news can feel productive. It is, most often, the opposite. You finish the meal and don't taste it. Archive the email and don't remember it. Absorb the headline and feel unease. Attention scattered is joy diluted. Attention invested is joy multiplied. When you do one thing fully, walk, cook, talk, read, your nervous system settles into a rhythmic groove. Your breath deepens, and time itself widens around the task. Here's how you can act on it today. Choose one daily anchor task and make it sacred. The 15-minute walk with no phone. The tea ritual with no screen. The conversation where you put the mug down and face the person. If you need help, use a simple timer for 20 minutes of uninterrupted work, then pause. You'll quickly notice that your best thinking surfaces in the quiet between distractions. 2 facts, 1 practice, clarity. A brief, potent sentence to carry forward. Your attention is your life. Let's pivot into a vivid scenario. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and someone asks for your help immediately. Could you review the budget? Can you watch the kids? Can you drive Aunt Claire to the store now? For years, you might have said yes on autopilot, earning gold stars no one hands out. As years accumulate, though, the emotional math changes. The 3rd invitation is to be lazier at people-pleasing. Not cruel, clear. Not selfish, self-respecting. Self-determination theory in psychology shows that autonomy, feeling that your choices align with your values, is essential to well-being. You don't need to prove your goodness by overgiving. You can show your love by thoughtful, sustainable giving. The ripple effects are beautiful. When you stop saying yes to everything, your yes becomes weightier. People start to trust that when you agree, you're truly present. You also model boundaries for younger relatives who are learning how to live. No becomes a complete sentence, delivered with warmth. I can't do that today, but I can do Saturday morning. That single, clear boundary can save you from resentment, which is love's slow poison. The action step today is to craft a default pause. Before you answer requests, breathe and say, "Let me think about that and get back to you." That sentence buys you time and dignity. You can then consult your energy, your calendar, and your values. According to Harvard Health's writing on stress and relationships, the quality of our connections matters far more than the quantity of tasks we perform for others. Fewer favors, more presence. 2 facts, 1 shift, relief. Now, a dual fact reveal, soft but strong. You are not responsible for everyone's feelings, and you are not obligated to fix every problem. Freedom. Let's add a 4th invitation, one that hits many of us late at night. Be lazier at worrying about things you can't control. The mind loves loops. The heart pays the price. Cognitive behavioral therapists often teach worry scheduling, setting aside a short time to write down concerns, then refusing to rehearse them all day. The Mayo Clinic consistently notes the physical toll of chronic stress, sleep disturbances, headaches, elevated blood pressure. When you grow older, every hour of quality rest repays itself in mood and memory. So practice lazy worry. Decide a time to sit with it. Outside that window, move your body, drink water, call a friend, read a page. You're not denying reality. You're reclaiming life from rumination. Here's the effect in the real world. When worry stops owning your evenings, you notice the twilight colors out the window. You taste the cinnamon in your tea. You hear the nuance in your partner's voice. The mind's job is to plan and solve. It is not meant to run sirens on a loop. Give it a job during worry time. Give it rest after. That balance lets your nervous system downshift before bed, which improves sleep quality, which improves next day focus. It's a virtuous circle created by a gentle refusal. 1 practical technique. Write a 3-line control map. Line 1, what's in my control? Line 2, what's not? Line 3, 1 next step for the first line. Then close the notebook. Your brain loves closure. Give it 1. Another small line to tuck in your pocket. Not now. Later on purpose. If you've been following, we've already touched 4 of the 8. Answering slower, doing less at once, pleasing less, and worrying less. Notice how each is softer than a resolution. It's permission, not pressure. If that feels helpful so far, consider subscribing. We explore topics like this every week, always at a gentle pace that respects your time and your wisdom. Here's a surprising insight to open the next chapter. Clutter isn't neutral. The UCLA Center on Everyday Lives of Families observed that higher household clutter was associated with elevated cortisol levels in mothers. Our spaces talk to our stress systems. The fifth invitation is to be lazier at acquiring and lazier at managing piles. Let the home breathe with you. Less straightening, fewer containers, more exits for objects that don't serve your season of life. When you grow older, each object should either help you live today or help you remember what matters. The rest is noise. What happens in lived experience? Mornings glide. You reach for a pan and it's there, not under 3 lids from a set you don't use. You open your closet and see your actual favorites, not a museum of who you used to be. Decision fatigue falls away, and something else. Joy rises in the empty spaces. The minimalist movement can feel extreme. This isn't that. This is compassionate editing. Keep the book that made you weep. Donate the sweater that never fit right. Let objects go to someone who needs them now. Practical moves for compassionate editing. Pick a microzone, 1 shelf, 1 drawer, and set a timer for 15 minutes. Ask 3 gentle questions. Did I use this in the last year? Will I use it in the next? Does it carry meaning I want close? If the answer is no, thank it. Yes, actually thank it for whatever season it served and release it. A sturdy principle for this era of life. Fewer things, clearer days. 2 facts, 1 outcome, calm. Here's the short pulse line for this block. Space heals quietly. Let's pair it with its sibling invitation. Be lazier at punishing exercise, lazier at the grind, lazier at forcing your body to perform like it's 30. Replace grind with rhythm. Replace punishment with partnership. The World Health Organization recommends regular, moderate movement, like brisk walking and strength work, as a cornerstone of healthy aging. Harvard Health often highlights that consistency beats intensity for long-term cardiovascular and musculoskeletal benefits. And neurologists like Dr. Lisa Mosconi remind us that the brain runs on steady blood flow and nutrients. Movement is how we deliver them with kindness. Think of this picture. Instead of a punishing boot camp at 6 a.m. that you dread, imagine a 20-minute walk after breakfast, some gentle squats while the kettle warms, and a set of easy band pulls as you watch the evening sky dim. The body loves repeatable patterns. The joints thank you when you alternate days and vary motions. And your sleep? It loves late afternoon sunlight on the retina and a body that has moved just enough. Your action step is to design a weekly rhythm you can keep on your worst week, not your best. Worst week proof. 2 walks, 2 strength sessions, and 1 playful session of anything. Dance in the kitchen, garden, swim, stretch. Keep a simple log you actually enjoy reading. If you're managing chronic conditions, check with your clinician first, then adjust with compassion. 2 facts, 1 promise, sustainable. There's a gentle story from a man in his 70s who traded his long, high-impact runs for daily hills at a talking pace and light dumbbells twice a week. I stopped trying to win at exercise, he smiled. Now my body and I are on the same team. He didn't do less life. He did more living. Now, an entirely different horizon. The online arena, where attention goes to be hijacked. The 7th invitation is to be lazier at doom scrolling and lazier at arguing with strangers. It's not that the world doesn't matter. It matters deeply. But your nervous system cannot metabolize an infinite scroll of outrage. Studies on media consumption and mood consistently show that negative news binges can amplify anxiety and distort risk perception. Harvard-affiliated writers have advised setting intentional limits and prioritizing in-depth, reputable sources over constant feeds. You don't get wiser by reading every post. You get wiser by digesting what's true and acting where you live. The real-life effect of stepping back is immediate. Suddenly you notice your neighbor's garden. You smile at the barista instead of drafting a perfect clapback in your head. Your world becomes local and textured again. You spend the same 20 minutes calling your city council office once a month, which actually moves a needle, or reading a print article that informs you without inflaming you. Outrage weakens your voice. Grounded action strengthens it. Practical moves? Create a news bracket. 15 minutes in the late morning from 2 reputable outlets, then stop. No news before breakfast and none after dinner. If you use social media, move the app icon off your home screen or use the platform only on a desktop. Consider subscribing to a weekly long-form newsletter you trust. Your mind is not a landfill. 2 facts, 1 guardrail, peace. A crisp line for your pocket here. Protect your attention budget. Finally, the 8th invitation, the one that frees families for generations. Be lazier at controlling outcomes, especially other adults' outcomes. This is the hardest one, because it often hides in love. You want to steer your adult children, your partner, your siblings, towards safer choices. You want to protect, to correct, to prevent mistakes. But as family systems therapists like Murray Bowen have shown, over-functioning for others can create under-functioning in them and chronic anxiety in you. When you ease the grip, you give everyone a chance to grow. You also recover your own lane. What does this look like day to day? You listen more than you advise. You ask, do you want my thoughts or my support? You share your experience once, then step back. If someone you love stumbles, you resist the urge to rush in unless safety is truly at stake. It's not indifference, it's respect. It's an act of faith, in them and in life's capacity to teach without your steering wheel. The practical approach begins with one question you ask yourself when anxiety flares. Is this within my circle of responsibility or just my circle of concern? If it's concern, you breathe and release. If it's responsibility, you act with clarity and kindness. The Harvard study of adult development, spanning more than 8 decades, found that strong, supportive relationships are central to well-being in later life. Support doesn't mean control. It means presence, trust, and healthy boundaries. 2 facts. 1 courage, maturity. Here is the small sentence to anchor this last piece. Love doesn't need a leash. Let's add a mini story that feels like a mirror. A grandmother who used to call her adult son nightly about his finances decided to stop the checks and the lectures and invited him to a weekly dinner instead. "If you want to talk money, we can," she said, "but mostly, I want to hear your stories." 3 months later, he asked for help, her help, and listened because it wasn't packaged as a rescue. She was lazier about control and richer in connection. We've covered 8 kinds of gentle laziness that make life easier and warmer. Slow response instead of constant availability. Single task focus instead of multitasking. People-pleasing less and choosing requests with care. Worrying less about what you cannot move. Acquiring less to let your space breathe. Exercising with rhythm, not punishment. Consuming less outrage and arguing less online. And loosening your grip on other people's outcomes. None of these tell you to become passive. Each of them invites you to become deliberate. Less friction, more flow. Imagine a week shaped by these choices. Your mornings begin with unhurried tea and one small, clear task. Your body moves in ways it thanks you for. Messages arrive. You answer when it's right for you. The home looks like life, not a storage unit. News informs but doesn't inflame. Family time feels safe and spacious. And the worry you cannot use sits patiently in a notebook, waiting for its brief appointment. Not running your night. The future you is nodding, gratefully. There are a few soft corrections worth naming as you carry this forward. First, Doing less is not failing more. It's focusing on what yields joy and meaning. Second, boundaries do not weaken love. They protect it from exhaustion. Third, slower is not lesser. It's often wiser. And finally, you are not behind. You are right on time for your next season, which asks for presence more than performance. As we wind down, here are 3 practical bundles you can adopt immediately. 1. The Rhythm Trio. 2 message windows. 1 anchor task. 1 20-minute walk. 2. The Space Trio. 1 drawer a day. 1 donation bag a week. 1 shelf you keep sacred and simple. 3. The Connection Trio. Ask before advising. Plan 1 joyful call weekly. And take a slow walk with someone you love once this week. These are small, but their compounding effect is enormous. That's a game changer. If this perspective helped, you might enjoy our gentle deep dive on memory improvement after 50, where we explore how sleep, movement, and attention weave in to recall you can trust. It pairs beautifully with today's theme. And a final warm reminder as you step back into your evening. You can choose your pace. You can choose your focus. You can choose your boundaries. Choose them softly, and notice how life starts choosing you back. Not professional advice. Consult a qualified expert as needed. Always consult a qualified expert. And always do what feels right for you.